Good morning, and we are live. Boy, I tell you what, there's been such a just a mixed mash of information on what's happening in Washington, D.C. And I have to tell you, the more I get into it, the more pissed off I get. So let's do it. Let's dive right into it. Good morning, everybody. I hope your coffee's as good as mine. Hell, I hope it's better. I really do. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you recharged with your families. We had an amazing Thanksgiving. We really did. Had the family over. We all cooked together. We talked. We laughed. Uh, I have to tell you, normally on a holiday, I'll try to dress up just a little bit, try to, clean up a little bit. But yesterday we didn't do it, man. We were all sitting around in our sweatpants and just, it was something, man. It was great. It was really great. I really hope you had a great Thanksgiving. As you can tell, am doing this. I am not out doing the Black Friday thing. I will not be doing that. I'm participating in the blackout. I am not Me and Mrs. Texas Paul have put the family on notice. Everyone is old enough now that they're not being hurt by this. We're not going to do the holiday this year like we have in the past. We're just not doing it. We're not going to participate in this bullshit. But I don't want to get too sidetracked. I don't want to get off in the weeds because we've got some serious stuff to talk about with this DC shooting. The more that comes out, the more pissed off I get. I mean, I am really, really just livid over this. This is Donald Trump killed Sarah Beckstrom. He is directly responsible for the injuries to Andrew Wolfe, the second guardsman that was shot in Washington D.C. And there's no other way to cut it, people. There's no other way to cut it. And I'm not even talking about this. I'm not even talking about the fact that he's defied judges' orders and they weren't supposed to be there in the first damn place. They were not supposed to be there in the first damn place. This shooting justifies nothing about this National Guard deployment. Nothing. This isn't random crime. This is directly a result of this deployment. And I have to tell you, folks, they should not have been there. This is Donald Trump and Pee Wee German and their sickness that has caused this directly. If you're not familiar with what's going on, let me catch you up. I'm sure you've heard about that there was a tragic shooting of two National Guardsmen just blocks away from the White House in Washington, D.C. It was just a lot of craziness, a lot of crazy. I mean, just it's really hard to just nail it all down, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it right here and right now. This is the beautiful young, just heartbreaking. This is Sarah Beckstrom. She'd just been sworn in. She's just been activated to brought into DC. Just her and Andrew both just 24 hours before had just been deployed to Washington, D.C. And she's gone forever and ever. Amen. 20 years old. God knows what she would have contributed to our society, but she's gone. Just gone. Andrew Wolfe is fighting for his life. He's still in critical condition and fighting for his life. And it enrages me It just enrages me. It really does. This is Rachmanullah Lockenwall. He is responsible for the shooting. He shot these two guardsmen before he himself was shot. He is alive. We're going to hear more out of him, I am sure. But when you find out who he is and how we got here, it's just so, just enraging. It is. And Donald Trump knows he's in trouble. He knows he's in trouble. He is. This is Donald Trump lashing out again. Calls a reporter a stupid person because they are desperate to get a hold of this narrative, and there's no way to reframe this other than this is Donald Trump's fault, going all the way back to his first administration. He did this. He did this. But look how desperate he is. Look how angry he gets because he knows this narrative is going to crush lame duck Donnie.
A question about this tragic shooting in Washington, D.C. U.S. officials say that the suspect worked very closely with the CIA in Afghanistan for years, that he was vetted, and the vetting came up clean.
He went cuckoo. I mean, he went nuts. And that happens too. It happens too often with these people. You see him.
Oh, he just went cuckoo. He just went nuts. Who could have known? Who could have known? Just cuckoo. Bullshit. Bullshit. There's way more to this.
But look, this is how they come in. This is how they're standing on top of each other. And that's an airplane. There was no vetting or anything. They came in unvetted. And we have a lot.
And this is where I'm going to nail his sorry, decrepit, wrinkled hide to the fucking wall. That right there.
A lot of others in this country. We're going to get them out. But they go cuckoo. Something happens to them.
Your DOJ IG just reported this year that there was thorough vetting by DHS and by the FBI of these Afghans who were brought into the U.S. So why do you blame the Biden administration?
Because they let them in. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came on a plane along with...
You see how upset he gets? He knows. He knows he's in trouble. And look how angry he gets when he sees that. I'm going to back it up just a little bit. How angry he gets when he sees this narrative that he cannot control forming right in front of him.
Came on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here. And you're just asking questions because you're a stupid person. And
a question about...
He knows he absolutely is going to get buried by this. And he deserves to. He did this. He did this. He and those sorry-ass Republicans and their right-wing followers, and we'll get into it. We're going to get into it. We're going to go point by point by point. This sorry son of a bitch killed Sarah Beckstrom. He did. Skeet Sarah, 2018. The narrative has taken over itself. This is what happens when you base your platform on lies. Yep. 100%. 100%. Catch my whip. Paul, early voting in the Tennessee special is at 84,000 as of 11/26. That's about 20,000 more than the primary. Amen. We're going to talk about that some more. We're going to talk about Afton Bain here in a little bit. But let's get into it. This happened. If you don't know who this is Zalmay Khalilzad. He is the U.S. Special Envoy sent by Donald Trump to make this deal with the Taliban. That is the leader of the Taliban sitting there. The foreign, basically their version of a Secretary of State, sitting there with Zalmay Khalilzad, signing the deal that Trump negotiated and Trump demanded in February 29th. It was right before we got into the election season. Donald Trump had just been screaming that he was ending the war in Afghanistan. He was going to run on that. He did this. He did this intentionally. He did this purposely. People had Afghan fatigue. They really did. They had Afghan fatigue. They were tired of this war, and Trump thought he was going to ride that through the ballot box, and it was going to get him elected. But you'll notice he's not there for this. He's not. Because there was a real schism within the Republican Party that continued on over the way this was handled. I'm going to pull this down. I'll bring it back in just a second. Just so you know, I mean, we're going to pull some headlines up from the time so that you can see the kind, what was going on at the time. We're not going to let them make up bullshit now. We're going to deal in reality from what was really happening on the ground at the time. There was a split in the Republican Party saying, hey, wait a minute, this is stupid bullshit. This is dumb. They were both, you had the Pee Wee German faction, the Stephen Miller bigot bros, Stephen Miller and Pee Wee German and the bigot bros they were pissed off because they're like, hey, wait a minute. We're talking about letting people into our country. We can't have that. No, sir. We're opposed to that. And a huge portion, remember the anti-Islam sentiment, the Islamic ban, travel bans, all of that was the political terrain at the time. And then you had the Republicans that had been around that understood, wait a minute, this is a freaking disaster. We can't do this. People that had actually served. There was a schism in the Republican Party. There was. Skeet Sayre, I want the Dems to win back the House before midterms and drop some decent bills to expose the Senate. We need that. Yes, we do, sir. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. 100%. But I want to get back to this because you can see what they signed. You can see. I want you to see this again. Let this image burn in your head. This is February 29th, 2000. They were signing this agreement with the Taliban. They were drawing down troops and drawing down troops and drawing down troops. This is, like I said, Salmeh Khalilzad. He is a lifelong Republican. He served in the Bush administration. He was George Bush's ambassador to Afghanistan in 04 and 05. He was George Bush's ambassador to Iraq in 05 to 07. Then he was appointed by George Bush to be the ambassador to the UN from 07 to 09 until he was replaced. President Obama replaced him. He is well respected. He did not support the Trump election. He did not, but he was appointed by Trump. He did not support Trump politically. He did not. He's not that fact. I told you there is a schism in the Republican Party regarding Trump. There is. He did not support Donald Trump, but he is a lifelong Republican. And he was appointed by Trump to be the special envoy to make this happen. And they did. They did this. Mr. Will, 73. Hey, Paul, here's with you all. As all, I'm glad you're here, my brother. I'm glad you're here. I am glad you're here. You can look this up. It is in PDF format, and you can read it. It is not that long. It is 4 pages. It is the agreement to bring peace to Afghanistan, signed February 29th, 2020. It is still available online. This happened. This happened. This shitty agreement. They signed it, and then they just let chaos reign. I've told you over and over and over again, the Trump administration is filled with incompetence. The first one, this one, Republicans just suck at governing because they hate government. They hate government, so they never appoint competent people. From the moment they signed that deal, and I want you to keep this in mind, folks. Remember the time, jump in the Wayback Machine. Remember what they were saying. Remember what they were saying. All they did was draw down troops and draw down troops and draw down troops. And that's important. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. This was right before Joe Biden took office. Remember what they were doing. They were storming the Capitol. Donald Trump wasn't paying any attention to Afghanistan. He had appointed incompetent people. They screwed that country. They screwed our allies in Afghanistan. They ensued chaos. Then they did this. This is a week before Joe Biden takes office. They did this. And this is the important part about that. This is the first two paragraphs is all you really need to know. I'll read it to you. Washington AP, the U.S. military has met its goal of reducing the number of troops in Afghanistan to about 2,500 by Friday. It's a week before Joe Biden takes office. A drawdown that may have violated a last-minute congressional prohibition. You had the Republican hawks that were fighting this tooth and nail because they saw the chaos. They saw the way this was being handled, and they didn't want this to blow back on them. This is the reduction could complicate matters for the incoming Biden administration. That was the point. That was the point. They did it on purpose, which must determine how to handle a Trump administration commitment to the Taliban to remove all U.S. military, intelligence, and contractor personnel from Afghanistan by May. Remember that. At the time, the deal was still to get out by May. They had drawn down troops to almost nothing. All of the equipment was there. It was just a freaking disaster. They had moved none of our allies out. They intentionally, they released 5,000 Taliban fighters at this time. They released more Taliban terrorists out of prison than we had troops in the country. And they did it on purpose. They did it on purpose. And everybody saw it. Everybody saw it. And I am going to bring this back around because this comes directly back around to killing Sarah Beckstrom. And we may lose Andrew Wolfe. He is fighting for his life right now. He is fighting for his life right now. This ended up on the streets of Washington, D.C. But this is some of the reporting that was coming out at the time. This is some of the reporting that was coming out at the time. Yes, it was absolutely set up, Skeet Sarah. It was set up to hinder the Biden administration, and they had their talking points ready to go. They did. And, everybody knew what it was doing. Everybody knew what the way Trump handled this, what was happening. The Afghan army that we had trained and set up, screw it. They threw their uniforms off. They're like, screw this. You have abandoned us. And inside the Republican Party, and remember what was going on with the press at the time too. Guys like me, you're talking about Midas Touch is rising like a phoenix. Not like a phoenix, not because that would be out of ashes, but rising like a meteoric star because everybody's hungry for anybody that will tell you the truth of what's really going on. Because in the media, all they're doing is repeating Republican talking points, yak, 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 yak. But even in that environment, you were seeing things like this because, Mike Pompeo was responsible for this. He was Trump's Secretary of State. He's the one that made this deal. He created this. And Republicans were pissed because they're like, Mike, you were our guy. You were supposed to be the grown up in the room. You were supposed to prevent this from happening. This is going to be a disaster. But then you had, you've got the typical Republicans that don't give a shit. They're politics all the time. If we can sell a narrative, that's all that matters. Marjorie Taylor Greene and those people. You remember the shit that they were saying. You remember the political environment. You can remember what the press was saying. U.S. Republicans blast Biden over Afghanistan withdrawal. Joe Biden did this, right? Joe Biden did this. He took office. Remember that he had to be out by May. Took office in January, February, the end of January, not the beginning of January, the end of January. So we have February, March, April, May. 4 months with 2,500 troops on the ground. He is supposed to magically pull out of his ass a way to get all of our allies and everything out of Afghanistan. That is what they left him on the ground. It is just a matter of fact. You cannot debate it. It is documented. It is what it is. And Joe Biden, being the senior statesman that he is, negotiated us more time. That's the first thing he did. And they attacked him for it. They attacked, he just wants to be in Afghanistan forever. You remember the news articles. You remember seeing this. Kathy Bowen, thank you for being here. You remember this. Republicans in Congress coming up with these reports attacking Joe Biden for the Afghanistan withdrawal, the cost of Biden's weak national security policies. This is a direct report in PDF, only 3 pages long. You can go back and read it, where they made up complete bullshit. Complete bullshit about Joe Biden's response, which was brilliant. I encouraged Democrats at the time, run on this, go on the offensive, go on the attack. They did not listen to me. They wanted away from this. There was Afghanistan fatigue. They didn't want to seem like they were pro-Afghanistan, and they did not listen to me. I told every candidate, every congressman, everybody that I ever got in contact with, I said, you must go on the offensive on this. You must go on the attack on this. This is what happened. Joe Biden did an amazing job in Afghanistan. Their feeling was, no, we've lost the control of the narrative. We've lost control of the narrative. The pictures of the airplanes and the people running after the airplanes and this, and narrative matters. So they didn't. But this really happened. In that report I just showed you, they absolutely would go to any news, any microphone, and they would say, it was 100 billion, it was 500 billion, it was $1 trillion in government assets. And it was bullshit. It was all bullshit. And this is why it was bullshit. They handled that withdrawal with what that shitburger they handled it magnificently. They knew it's not worth flying most of the shit out of the country. It would cost us more. It's used, it's beat up, it's been in the desert. Refurbishing it and making it ready for combat ready again, we're not taking it with us. So what did they do? They scrapped it. Most of the equipment, almost all of the equipment actually, was what they called demilitarized. It was demilitarized. They either blew it up, or the most common thing is, and the Republicans would lie this way, and I just want you to jog your memory. You saw the pictures of the Humvees lined up. They said, they abandoned all of these. Yeah, but what they didn't tell you is that in those depots, the way they decommissioned, they didn't blow up most of it. That's just dangerous and stupid. They didn't do that. But they did leave it. They sold a lot of it for scrap to begin with. A lot of those pictures you saw, those weapons had been sold for scrap, but they weren't functioning. You want to know the number one way they demilitarized this equipment? They opened the hood, or the engine cowl on a helicopter, whatever, and a soldier with an acetylene torch took that torch and sliced the engine block with an acetylene torch and left it completely unusable and unrepairable. It was literally at that point a chunk of steel or aluminum. That's what they did because they didn't have time. And a soldier on duty in a 24-hour period could decommission hundreds of vehicles that way. And they knew they were up against the wall. They did. They knew they were up against a time crunch. So that's what they did. But when the Republicans reported it, they reported it the original purchase price of that piece of equipment. And they ran to the news, and the news ran with it. The news absolutely attacked Joe Biden on this unmercifully. They knew what I was telling you. Old Hillbilly Paul in the woods doesn't have some special fucking knowledge. I don't. Reuters knew this. CNN knew this. They all knew this. AP, New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times, they all knew what I just told you. Yet they wanted this. They wanted the conflict. They wanted eyes on the screen, man. You got a brand new administration. This is drama. This is drama. So what does it matter if we're misleading the American people? What does it matter? Well, it matters. People died. And they just died. Sarah Beckstrom just died because of you. American news, corporate news. You just killed her with Donald Trump. And this is why. We're going to tie all this back around. This is all connected. It is all connected. So what happened? How did Biden respond? Like a professional. They created this. This is still, you can go read about this. 100%. This is why I bring you the headlines. Go read about it. Operation Allies Welcome. What was this all about? What was this all about? Well, it was about stories like this that ran for years during the Biden administration. Biden, and again, every major news source blamed Biden. We just went over the fact that in February 29th, Donald Trump set this ball rolling. Donald Trump withdrew troops. He destroyed our relationship with the Afghan army or the Afghan government. All of it drew us down to 2,500 troops. He created this situation, and in that time frame, did not take our allies out. He didn't. He just left them there, and then destroyed the means of getting them out. And articles like this: Afghans from CIA Ghost Unit face legal limbo in U.S. Yeah. This was happening, and Republicans were screaming about it. So much so you had like former soldiers that were right-wing Trump suckers, MAGA, that were forming, it was a grift. It always ended up being a grift, but they were forming private fundraising things saying that we're going to go into Afghanistan and we're going to get these people. These were our allies. Biden left them behind. No, he didn't. He didn't. He didn't. They created Operation Allies Welcome, and they started bringing people out as they could, but they had to vet them. They had to vet them. Thank you. I appreciate you, LJ Jones. I appreciate you. Cannot do it without you, folks. I can't do it without you. I can't sit here and do this research and bring these things up to remind you anymore. So look, we've been bringing these folks in. We have been getting these people out of Afghanistan. That's where we're at in the story. That's what's going on. Operation Allies Welcome. That's what this was all about. They bring them in, they vet them. These are, all the people meanwhile, while this is going on, you still have the Republicans screaming, "We abandoned our allies." Biden, "Oh, that was just a terrible withdrawal from Afghanistan. Look at this." And the corporate news kept showing the galaxy taking off with the people chasing it. And you remember all of that. You remember as it happened, folks. But the truth of it is, this is what was really going on. Operation Allies Welcome. And Operation Allies Welcome is 100% how one second. 100% how Ratmanullah Lachenwall, and I'm sure I'm killing his name, got into this country. That is how he got here. He was brought in 2021. He was vetted by the CIA. He was set up in Bellingham, Washington, if you don't know where this is, because it's kind of important to the story. This is Bellingham, Washington. This is Bellingham, so you have an idea. Bellingham, Washington. You get the idea here? It's about as West Coast as you can get. North of SeaTac. You get the idea, right? This guy drove from here, where he has a wife and children. He drove from here to Washington, D.C., apparently to shoot a couple National Guard troops. Robert Walsh, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Pamela, okay, can't do it without you, folks. I'm super grateful for that big support. I'm truly grateful. I understand the value of $5. I understand the value of $50. I really do. Lo Chavez, 783, thank you for being here. He drove from here all the way to Washington, D.C. If he wanted to shoot guard troops, folks, he could have gone to Chicago. He could have stopped in Chicago halfway. Or he could have went to L.A. Much closer. Much easier drive. But no, he drove all the way across the country to come to Washington, D.C. to shoot a couple guard troops. It's insane. He has a wife. He has children. There's going to be so much more that comes out about why this guy did this. Portland. I mean, there's a million places this guy could have gone. I love you folks. I really do. I love you folks. Y'all are on it. Y'all are on it all the time. There's a reason he ended up a block off the damn White House grounds. Folks, if you've never been there, the White House is 100%. You're not close to it. When you reach the black fencing that surrounds the White House, you're not even close to it, man. You're not even close to it. It is a huge area. This is one block off of that. He's literally a block away from the black fencing that surrounds. You know, this took place about one block away from the executive offices and the Office of Management and Budget, and this was on that corner. J.M. Hennessy coming out with the guns blazing, big support, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate you, brother. I thank you. But folks, they shouldn't have even been there. They should not have even been there. They were told to get them out of there. And these two guard soldiers were brought up in the last 24 hours in defiance of this order. They shouldn't have even been there. Why did he do it? Why did he do it? Well, we do know, and more will come out. They're holding information. They really are. You've seen these shootings in the past, and there's just a flood, especially off right-wing media, a flood of who this guy is and what he is. They're forming up their narrative. They are. But the information will come out why he did this. They will talk to his family. They will talk to, think about that. This guy left a wife and children. Some people are saying 4 children, some say 5 children. It's this. It's this. It is the Trump administration and their insane, bigoted policies towards anybody that is brown in color. They don't want anybody to have asylum. And they've been dragging their feet on it. They have. They these people, we made promises to them. And I assure you, you're going to find out those promises haven't been kept. And they haven't been kept because of this asshole. Trump has pudding for brains. Trump has pudding for brains. He is dumber than dumb. He is sundowning every afternoon. That's why he lashes out. That's why he acts the way he does. That's why he talks the way he does. It's the people around him that are running this government and making the decisions, and those decisions have consequences, folks.
Thank you very much, everybody. Go ahead.
Afghans, do you believe that Afghans asylum claim that is being floated? Of course, you just detailed that this suspect was flown in under the Biden administration.
Yeah.
But was he granted asylum under your administration?
When it comes to asylum, when they're flown in, it's very hard to get them out. No matter how you want to do it, it's very hard to get them out. But we're going to be getting.
You've seen it. You've seen it. Michael Bruce, thank you for supporting the show. I really appreciate you, brother. I really do. Thank you. That is huge support. I know, especially in times like this, $50 is a lot of money, brother. I'm grateful. DJ Ghetto Redneck, military leaders stop Trump invading Venezuela. We're going to see. We're going to see. Lost Leprechaun, lost my dad recently. He was a lifelong Democrat and vet who was disgusted at this administration and the choices being made. Thank you, Texas Paul, for all you do. Remind people how insane this all is. And it is. It is completely insane. We are going to find out that this guy drove across the entire country. He wasn't out to shoot National Guard troops. There were National Guard troops much closer to home. And this was not a spectacular terrorist attack. This is somebody that was lashing out. And what would he be lashing out about? They set them up. They brought them in. They paid him a couple grand a month, and then they got him jobs. This guy was a contractor for Amazon. Laura 18919, righteous outrage is good to hear. Thank you. It pisses me off. It pisses me off. These decisions that they're making, we're not going to support asylum seekers. We're going to cut ice loose on anybody with a skin tone slightly darker than mayonnaise. This has consequences. Why does a CIA contractor who gets brought into our country, set up at a job in Bellingham, Washington, working for Amazon, abandon his family, his children, drive all the way across the country to within 1 block of the Trump White House to shoot 2 National Guard troops? This is not a spectacular attack. This was not something that was thought out. This is not something that was planned out. You can do a lot worse pretty easily. It's not, if you want to be an awful violent person, it ain't that hard. And yes, this is something that, as we look at this is something that's really being discussed. Douglas Rose Brock, is this another, forgive me for snorting into the mic. I'm sorry. I'm still fighting that cold a week later. Is this another of the administration's false flags? There are an awful lot of shootings that seem to surround Donald Trump that are politically convenient. Bruce Barrows, 1906, this should make everyone angry. Yep. But folks, this wasn't anything to do with crime. Our cities don't deserve to be occupied by federal troops. Is there crime? Sure, there's some crime. There's some crime in every city on earth. That comes with people. But no, we're not in some position where we need to be occupied. And the fact that we are occupied, and the fact that these people, these bigots, these scummy, disgusting, sick people like Pee Wee German here, Stephen Miller, and his opposal to asylum, they're creating these terrorists. That is the kindest narrative you can bring. And yes, there are people talking about this could be a false flag. This could be just something, this guy worked with the CIA before, but we don't know everything about this. But I do know everything that got us here. And it's idiocy. It's Donald Trump's idiocy. In his first administration, in this administration, the man is incompetent. He has pudding for brains. It's dementia. You see no pictures of him. Remember how you see him all the time? He was doing something, walking here, walking there, this, that, and that. None of that anymore. He is stuck behind a desk because his ankles are flopping over his shoes because of the medical condition he has. He's constantly, think about this, folks, his hand. It is in the news all the time, the discoloration. He is constantly being fed something intravenously through his hand, and the corporate media will not bear down on that. We see it all the time. They know it. And these people that are so sick and they can't hide it. They can't hide it. And they would if they could. They would. So they stick him behind a desk so he doesn't walk, because he can't walk without wobbling around. The man is freaking dying. And the corporate press won't ask, who's running this fucking country? Who's making these decisions? Because we know the answer to it. We know policies being set by Pee Wee German. And Trump has no control over it. He's just going to try to be a TV clown. He's going to just try to spin some narrative where it's not Trump, it's Biden. Say Biden 10,000 times. That's what the corporate media did before. All he had to do was say Biden, and they would repeat anything that followed that. But I am not going to allow this to happen this time. You're not going to allow this to happen this time. You know damn well who set the conditions for this. You know damn well that these people were being taken care of, and then all of a sudden, here comes Pee Wee German and the anti-asylum people, the anti-brown people, ICE deployed all over the country, troops have deployed into our troops, and then all of a sudden we have this. They did this. They set the conditions for it. They created this. Them and the corporate media. This isn't free. V-Man 29,397. Trump has one thing to be thankful for. He isn't as unpopular as the governor of Puerto Rico. She has a 63% disapproval rating. Yeah. Agent Cajun, thanks for always being here, my brother. I appreciate you. I understand $50 is a lot of money, and you're here all the time, brother. I appreciate that. I am truly grateful for all your support. Kathy Young, 9721. Perhaps someone he loved is being returned for people who helped our troops. That can be a death sentence. That is what I am waiting to find out. You'll notice I'm not going to the next step on this narrative. There is more to come out. There is more to come out. He did this for a reason, and we're going to find that reason out. But I do know that those troops should not have been there. That is on Donald Trump. I do know that the conditions that ended up with this man being disaffected and angry were created by Donald Trump. We do know that. We do know that they championed for that guy to be here. They beat Democrats and Joe Biden about the head and shoulders with that stick continuously. I mean, there were literally private groups grifting, fundraising off. Well, we're going to get these people out of Afghanistan. We're going to get them here, man. We're going to get them here. For years, this shit went on. And now all of a sudden, oh, well, he was brought in under Biden. Don't know how that happened. Don't know how it happened. How could that have possibly have been? Because you screamed about it continuously. ES44 driver, looking back down the past, something funky happens at least once a week ever since Trump has been in the picture, at least once a week. Yep. And it has everything to do with the Epstein files. Everything to do with the Epstein files. You need to remember, those are coming out next week. And the world did not quit spinning just because of Trump, just because of this shooting in D.C. We're not going to let this take over the narrative. We're not going to. This is 100% on Donald Trump. He did this. He created the situations in his first term, and he has caused the situation to get worse under his second term. He did this. He did this. That is the narrative that goes away. That makes this all go away, makes the Republicans not want to talk about it anymore, is the fact that Trump created this. Trump created it with his first term. Trump exacerbated it in his second term. They screamed for this guy to be here. The minute that is the open narrative, Republicans will, who? Lockenwall? Who's Lockenwall? Who's Lockenwall? Little Johnson will be walking through the halls of Congress, and they'll ask him a question about it, and his response will be, well, I haven't heard that. Sorry. Walk away. Vincent Day, thank you for being here, sir. Thank you for always being here. That's where we're heading with this, because the narrative is not spinning their way, but the world has not quit spinning. Things keep happening all over the country. All over the country. This just happened. Jared Polis, God love the governor of, I should have had a picture for you. Let me pull one up for you. Jared Polis, the governor of Colorado. I gotta beg this guy to be on the show. He is one of the rising stars in the Democratic Party. He really is. I need to get this guy on the show. I don't know how I'm going to pull it off, but I need to. This is Jared Polis, folks. Just to remind you, the governor of Colorado. He is extremely popular. But yeah, the Trump administration, you may remember, threatened Colorado. You better release this woman. You better release her, or bad things are coming your way. Donald Trump openly threatened the state of Colorado. Colorado said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. And then her attorneys, with the backing of the Trump administration, tried to force Colorado to move Tina Peters to a federal facility so that she could be taken care of like Ghislaine Maxwell. They tried to get her the special treatment. And Colorado said, no. And they are having a fit about it. Her lawyer said that Donald Trump needs to send in the 101st Airborne and free Tina Peters. Tina Peters was sentenced to 9 years in prison. 9 years in prison for 4 felonies. She bribing officials, And she gave, look at that. You remember she brought in the hack she brought in this guy. This guy. It's crazy. This is crazy. Just crazy. This is Conan Hayes. Yeah, this is Conan Hayes. This guy was the guy that Tina Peters brought in and gave access to her district's voting machines while they were doing software updates and got caught. They got him on camera. She ended up being sentenced to 9 years in prison because she bribed people to try to cover this up. And then the way this guy got access, this is one of the felonies. See, there's this guy. He's a Republican. He is. I'm not crazy about this guy. I'm not crazy about this guy, but he did nothing wrong. And his life is still jammed up because of this. This is Gerald Wood. He is actually a cybersecurity expert. Tina Peters went to this guy and said, hey, would you like to be hired to do some IT work for us in our elections? And he said, sure, great. He said, cool, I'm going to issue you a badge so that you can get into the secured facilities and get access to the machines. He said, okay, well, I guess eventually I'll need that. She gave him a badge that granted access. Then came back to him right away and said, oh, sorry, we can't give you that badge. My bad, Gerald. We can't give you that badge. You have to wait till we actually need you for something. Then she took that badge, carried it over, and gave it to Conan. And Conan pretended to be Gerald Wood, the actual IT specialist. And that's how we got access to those voting machines. And she lied about it. She lied about it all. She was arrogant to the very end. She just knew Donald Trump was going to save her, and she got sentenced to 9 years in prison. This is her lawyer. This is the insane guy that is screaming for the 101st Airborne. He's on Steve Bannon's show, The War Room. This is Peter Tickton. This is what I'm telling you, folks. Look at this guy. Let it soak in. Tina Peters, Donald Mushbrain Trump, Lame Duck Donnie, guys like this. This is who we're fighting against. Not that impressive, is it? Just not that impressive. The Devil of Dallas, I was for Polis 2020 and 24, but it never materialized. I really like Jared Polis. I do. Jared Polis. I really do. This is what I keep telling you, folks. He does. He looks like the preacher from the Poltergeist. He does. This is what I keep telling you. These are the incompetents that we're fighting against. These are not. No, this isn't a force that we have to fear. We're going to beat these people. We are. But the corporate media keeps putting them up. You should see the funders. People talk about Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation. Man, they're even older. These are not young spring chickens. Russell Vought. Now here, let me pull you a picture up of Russell Vought. This is the young guy in the room. I mean, this is the tough guy. This is the guy that's the head of OMB. In case you've forgotten who Russell Vought is. I mean, come on, people. We've got this. We've got this. This is supposed to be the tough guy. This is the guy we're supposed to be afraid of? No. No. These people are a joke. They are a joke. And it's showing. It is showing in election after election after election after election. MJ Dean, thank you for being here. MJ Dean 217 Gap. Thanks. Thanksgiving question about the supposed freezing of Trump's assets appeal was ordered in the $175 million lawsuit. Is it true? There is so much information going out right now. It is really hard to tell what is exactly true. And I honestly don't know the answer to that. I don't know. But I will tell you this. Thank you for the support. Thank you for supporting the show. But yeah, I mean, just one thing after another keeps happening. Yeah. You remember just the news couldn't just quit fawning all over the Gaza peace deal. They just couldn't stop. Just it was never. It was just greatness. We should talk about the Nobel Peace Prize for Trump over Gaza. Well, this is where we're at there. This is where we're at there. One second. They're still trying to spin it as it's not quite dead yet. It's not quite dead yet. This is what the right wingers are trying to spin the New York Post. This is the New York Post website right now. Let me see if I can pull it up and get rid of that Audible ad. Nope, no can do. There it is. This is what the right wingers at the New York Post are spinning here. Trump Gaza ceasefire on the brink as Hamas Israel trade blame for truce violations. Truce violations? They're killing each other. It's over. Ceasefire's over. Israel's bombing Gaza again. Hamas is shooting at Israeli troops. Ceasefire's over, folks. It's done. There was never a real peace deal there. And these are the kind of things that are coming out every day. Every day. There are more and more disasters. Folks, the economy is collapsing. We talked about the foreclosures. Imagine the corporate media in the middle of the Biden administration, and year over year, from October to October, foreclosures jumped 20%. It would be a week-long crisis story, and it never made the news. It never even made the news. Imagine a Democrat administration where they screamed about this great peace deal. Trump never talks about Gaza anymore. It's over. It's over. They're back at it, killing each other. It's going to be the economy. It's going to be, and the corporate media can't bring themselves to do anything like they did under the Biden administration, like they did during the Obama administration. My God, Obama wore a brown suit, and it was just is this a tragedy? Donald Trump and his policies causes a terrorist attack on the streets of Washington, D.C., and the corporate news cannot bring themselves to say anything. Nothing. Glenn Kaneko, glad to see you, my friend. Glad you're back from much needed time away from the mic. You're sounding much better too. Got a new hat? No, I've always had this one. And no, I didn't replace the one I lost. That one had a lot of sentimental value. It's irreplaceable. That brings us here. That brings us right here. This is where we're at right now. This is happening, folks. This is happening. Early voting is wrapping up. Emerson College polling, Tennessee 7th District, 2025 special election poll. Republican Van Epps and Democrat Bain locked in tight race. Folks, the Republicans and the corporate media counted this one. They counted this one for the Republicans. They did. And it is neck and neck. It is tight. It is 100% tight. We can win this. We can. We can. 100%. We can win this. I am telling you. And the Republicans know it. And the corporate media knows it, because if you do a search for Afton Bain, they are pushing to the top of the searches some of the most unflattering pictures. You have to really dig to find the picture of what she really, this is Afton Bain. This is what she really looks like. But the corporate media, it keeps showing pictures of her with awkward smile, and that's the picture that they run with. They are sandbagging this as hard as they possibly can. They really are. But this is Afton Bain. She's the Democrat running in Tennessee's 7th District. I cannot stress to you just how titanic this would be if she pulls this out. And they are at the end of early voting, they are tied. I mean, they are tied. It is statistically a dead heat. And this was, again, I can't stress this enough, was supposed to be a layup for the Republicans. This is the sea change that's happened in our politics. People are tired of Republican failures. They're tired of the shit. They're tired of the troops in our cities. They're tired of the hate, the bigotry policies. They're just sick of it. And people are starting to show up and vote. Not their people. Their people they were broken to start with, folks. We're not winning these people over. We're not. They're still there. That means that we have to do the work. And the work is getting Afton Bain elected. Get her into Congress. Do you understand what that will mean to Republicans if they lose a layup? If they lose a district that they thought, oh, this is locked, man. You're talking about rashes of resignations. You're talking about Donald Trump going under the bus and every Republican fighting for control of that steering wheel and gear shift so they can keep backing that truck up over Donald Trump. You're talking about leading the way to an unprecedented change in control of Congress before an election. We're that close, folks. A few Republicans decide, yeah, you may not be have been into politics as long as I have, and you may not remember the shift from Democrat to Republican control. There was a lot of Democrats that changed parties because they just saw that this is a long-term deal. If I'm going to be in government, I'm going to have to be in government as a Republican. You're seeing that in the inverse now. This isn't a short-term deal. And you know it. You know, there's people that we know that in 2016 were just stupid. They were like, well, I don't want another Clinton. I don't know nothing about this Trump guy. He's been on TV. He's had some businesses. And they didn't pay any attention to what the hell they were doing. But after seeing Trump, they're like, oh, hell no. But if you're one of those people that voted for Trump in 2020 and again in 2024, you're irredeemable. You're fucking gross. You are gross. And people know. Politicians are keenly tied into the feeling of the country. And they know that is the way people feel. The Republican brand is shit. Tell me anything, okay? Let's do this as a roundtable. We've been going for over an hour now. Let's lead into a roundtable with this. You tell me what, if anything, that the Republican brand is that they're good at. Certainly not foreign policy. Hell, you're seeing that blow up right now on the streets of Washington, D.C. with a terrorist attack that Donald Trump caused. The Republicans have failed. Well, I mean, all the Republicans seem to be able to do is lick Benjamin Netanyahu's taint. Their foreign policy is shit. They can't even get along with Canada, man. Shout out to my Canadian brothers and sisters. Shout out to the members of our community that are up in Canada. They can't even get along with Canada. They're constantly insulting any of our allies that happen to speak Spanish. E.T., how is Turkey Day? Regaining the House will help put the brakes on much of this. Amen, brother. It will. But we need to go and stay hard on them for the next several election cycles to unscrew up all of this. Get active, y'all. Yeah. And I'm telling you, if you are with me and you're in the left wing of the party, this is an opportunity like you've never seen before. This is the kind of thing that I've been trying to tell people. Keep the Democratic Party fighting. Keep the Democratic Party in power. This is when you wrap a rope around this and start pulling. After we retake government in the midterms, this is when you flood their offices. This is when you say, okay, 2028, I need to see some left-leaning shit, man. I need to see Medicare for all. I need to see the real deal. This is an opportunity like you have not had in decades. But it doesn't just happen. Kenya Gomez, thank you for being here. Afton Bain, push that name. She's amazing. Tennessee 07, thank you. And that's it. That's where I was going. You're always ahead of me, folks. You're always ahead of me. It doesn't just happen. It happens by screaming Afton Bain's name. It happens so that everybody in every independent and Democrat in Tennessee gets out in Tennessee's 7th district, gets out and votes for Afton Bain. That's how we do this. Now, what the Republicans are going to be doing at this exact same time is they're going to be trying to take this and saying, see, you needed to be scared. You needed to be scared. And those Democrats, all they do is they love them Browns people. You need to show up and vote. If you don't, they're going to just put an Afghan terrorist in your house. They will. They'll be telling them that shit. They will. Trying to get their people scared because people don't vote to say thank you. People vote to say fuck you. So they're going to try to use everything they can to shift the narrative away from the fact that they're weak and they're losing. We need to do just the opposite. We need to get our people out there to say, look, you want to put an end to this? You want to shift control of Congress? Elect Afton Bain. Get out. Take time out of your life. Next Tuesday is the election. December 2nd, next Tuesday. Take time out of your life. If you're in Tennessee, in the 7th district, here, let me show you where the 7th district is. I should have had this for you already. Let me pull it up for you. There you go. If you are in Tennessee and you are in Stewart County, Montgomery County, Robertson County, Houston County, You may be some of them crazy people that call it Houston County, Dixon, Cheatham, parts of Davidson, Williamson, Hickman, Perry County, Decatur, parts of Benton County, Wayne County. Yeah, get out and vote. Get out and vote for Afton Bain. Have some accountability. Stop the craziness. Stop the craziness. And you know what? If you're MAGA, take a break, okay? This is nuts, the stuff that's been going on. They're wrecking the economy. They are wrecking the economy. Watch how terrible Black Friday goes. Watch this. The corporate media is not going to come out and they're not going to say it. They're just not going to do it. They're not going to come out and they're not going to tell you how bad Black Friday is. They're going to allude to it a little bit, but they're not going to come out and they're not going to tell you, holy shit, look what just happened. Because I know no one. Can I get a poll, you folks? Can I get a poll from you folks? How many or this is Black Friday right now today. Are any of you going to cross the lines and go do some shopping on Black Friday? Because I'm not. I'm absolutely not. I know the power of the purse. I know the power of staying home. Are any of you going to do it? Really? No smoke. I'm calling an amnesty. If you're going to do it, say it. It's okay. This is for information. Some of you may be in a situation where, hell, man, you're so broke, the only gifts you're going to be able to get are on Black Friday. I get it. I'm not going to attack you. I promise. But I want to know, are any of you going to do it? Because it looks like I'm looking at the comments. And by the way, if you're watching this on replay, cool. So glad you're here. Make sure that you have the chat open anytime you do that. If you're on PC, in the lower right-hand corner, there's a button that says panel. That's the live chat. Open it. For the folks that are watching this immediately after the broadcast, it takes YouTube a few minutes to process it, about 30 minutes to get the chat to where you can pull it open. If you're watching on a mobile device, you just kind of have to swipe in the comments. You'll see it. You'll figure it out. Open up the live chat. You can see right now they're saying no, and fuck no. I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it, folks. Because of things like this. Let me just stick with me. This is something I was going to talk about on Sunday more, but I think for our roundtable, I think it's pertinent. One second. That's Reuters. I'm not giving Reuters my money. I'm not gonna do it. Here, we'll go to a secondary source. Go to investing.com. It's the same headline from Reuters. If you want to pay Reuters subscription fees, go ahead. I'll just go to a secondary site and get the same damn article. See, you can see right here, it's from Reuters. Trump says now he may cut the income tax completely because of tariff income. One, that math don't math at all. Tariffs are not bringing in nearly enough revenue to do that. But it's another bullshit promise. Like there's going to be no tax on tips. Then when you get down to the fine print, oh yeah, you're still going to pay taxes on that. This is just another bullshit promise, like that healthcare plan that's been supposed to come out every 2 weeks for the last, 8 years. It's bullshit. But I will tell you this, it's a confession. It is a confession. What did I tell you these tariffs were for? It is to shift the tax burden of the broligarchs from them onto you. That's what it was all about. I recognize this immediately because they've been doing this forever in Texas. See, we don't have an income tax in Texas. What we have is a sales tax and a property tax. That means all of you, if you're watching from Texas, you folks pay the taxes, not the oligarchs. In fact, they just passed a constitutional amendment to promise that we will never tax capital gains. That's not for you. That's for the oligarchs. The billionaires that fund the Republican Party in Texas and across the country have, in state after state after state, been passing these amendments. They did it in Missouri too. No capital gains taxes. The oligarchs, they slash their taxes, and then they do a sales tax, which you can't avoid because you've got to live. But the oligarchs, Texas, folks, Texas is hot. It is. It is hot. For most of the year, it's not pleasant to live here. We're talking mosquitoes and sweat. Our winters are pretty mild. These rich people, do you really, I want to, again, another question. Do you really believe that Elon Musk lives in a little shack down in Boca Chica, Texas? I want to know this. I want to know my audience. Are you buying that? Do you really believe that Elon Musk lives in a little shack down in Boca Chica, Texas? I'm going to pause for a second to read these comments. So I hope if you're watching this on replay, one, hit the thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button. We need this community to grow as big and as fast as we possibly can. Skeet Sayre, he is Nero, Hitler, Mussolini, and European king rolled up in one. This is made worse because Reagan started this. Yeah, this is the Republican brand, folks. Trump is the Republican brand. No, nobody believes that Elon Musk lives in a little frickin' shack down in Boca Chica, Texas. So why does he have it? What does it mean? It means he doesn't pay state income taxes where he does stay. When he wants to be up in Martha's Vineyard or out on his yacht off the coast of, California or, in San Francisco and all the nice cities that he loves to live in. But no, he just swears he lives in this little town of Boca Chica down by the Mexican border. He swears that's where he lives, man. So legally, no state sales tax. His income, no income tax. And Texas, no capital gains tax either. All he's doing is benefiting off the blue states like New York and California and Oregon and, all these great places, Massachusetts and Maryland, all these great places, Virginia. He takes in all this largesse. They all do it. They all do it. Frisco has been a joke forever. We call it the McMansion capital of the world. All these rich people buy some property and their tax breaks more than pay for it. I mean, really, do you think Elon Musk spends a lot of time in Bastrop, Texas? No, but he's sure making it the hub of his legal empire because he can control the local population there. Folks, this is who they are. And they did it nationally. Where I'm going with this is that's what the tariffs are. Tariffs are nothing but a sales tax on you. That's it. That's all it is. Nothing special. It's a sales tax. It goes into the cost of your goods. The only difference is a sales tax gets a separate line on your receipt so you can see it. That's all it is. And he's telling you, oh, I'm promising I'm going to get rid of your income tax. Do you think they're going to get rid of your tax? No, they're going to do to you exactly what they do here in Texas. Texas has some of the highest taxes in the country. And they freak out every time you say that because we don't have an income tax. That's impossible. You'll get some dumbass 50s to 60-year-old MAGA dumbass that can't lick enough MAGA taint that will come on and say, it's impossible. We don't even have an income tax. Dude, fees are taxes. Your property taxes are astronomical. Your state sales tax that hits almost everything that you buy, that's a tax, dude. And that's all they're doing is they're trying to play a shell game. When they did it with tariffs, it's nothing but a sales tax, but it doesn't get a line item on the receipt. You don't even get to see that. And he's telling you, he's confessing, he's telling you, oh, I'm going to get rid of your income tax. You think he's going to get rid of your taxes, or you think he's going to get rid of taxes for Peter Thiel? Why do you think these mega oligarchs are willing to pay him the bribes? Folks, these business people do nothing that doesn't pay them back. So, tell them we see you. Close your purse. I'm doing it. Hope you can do it too. And yes, I know it, folks. I get it. You're going to get a bunch of people say, oh, buy from local, buy from this, buy from that. Folks, I get it. Closing your wallet hurts a lot of people. It doesn't just hurt the oligarchs. But unfortunately, it's the only way. It's the only way. It's the only way they will turn on him is if you just shut it the fuck down. And that hurts everybody. I know. But the alternative is this. Okay. I wasn't going to go here with this show, but it's important. It's important. Wendy Bauman says, thank you for doing the research to bring the truth. Hey, man, just reminding you of everything you already saw. Just jogging your memory. That's what this show was about. Linda Orndorff, Governor Shapiro's administration just passed a personal income tax cut. Everyone who qualifies for the federal earned income tax will qualify. You know, there are some states that can afford to move their taxes around, but that's not what this is. That's not what this is. This is what this is. Just like they did in Afghanistan, where they set everything up to fail and then had a narrative saying, oh, look, they failed, pointing at Democrats. This is much the same thing with the taxes. Skeets here. As a Canadian, I have no problem paying taxes. It makes the hospital free. When the government gave away the jobs, ambulance services became a $400 fee. Yep. That's all right-wingers want to do. Pass the buck on to you. Look, this is not hard, what Donald Trump is doing. It's not complicated. It's easy to follow. Screw our taxes, blow up the deficit. Doge is gone, by the way. If you didn't know, Doge no longer exists. Don't take my word for it. Just Google it. Here, we'll Google it real quick. Doge is gone. And just to prove to you that I mean what I say and that I do not, I love you, thank you, that I do not try to bring me coffee when I got a full cup of coffee here. I hope your coffee is as good as mine. I really do hope your coffee is as good as mine. My wife takes such good care of me. She's a wonderful woman. Just to prove to you, see that dollar they're trying to sell me is I do not pay Reuters subscription. But read that headline. Exclusive. Doge doesn't exist with 8 months left on its charter. It's gone. Remember, it was supposed to make government super efficient and all that shit. And all they did was destroy services to you. That's it. Destroy USA, starve babies. That's all it did. And it cost us money in the end. It cost us hundreds of billions of dollars more than it ever saved it. And then on top of it, it did things like what it did at the IRS, where they fired a bunch of people at the IRS. Then they turned around and had to rehire people back at the IRS so that you lost all their services. We ended up having to pay people anyways, but they just didn't do their job for a huge chunk of the year. Why? Why? What's the plan? What's the big plan? What's the big picture? Okay, I'll lay it out for you. Tariffs are sales tax. We've talked about that. We beat that horse to death. Tariffs are sales tax. It's meant to move the tax burden from the rich to you. Why? So for the next decade, the broligarchs can live high on the hog and get as much as they can before the collapse. And yes, I said that, before the collapse. Folks, our lives are changing. We are lashed to train tracks that we cannot get off of. And there is a diesel locomotive of debt bearing down on us. And the question is, what do we do about it? Well, if we'd been smart and elected Democrats, we'd have been dealing with this incrementally. You know, if we'd have never had Trump, if we'd have had Hillary Clinton and we would have elected Kamala Harris, we would have been dealing with this incrementally. But no, guys like Butlick and Scott Bessent, they're making sure the broligarchs get their paydays as fast and hard as they can before that train gets here. And this is what the train is. In 10 years, and actually I say it's slightly under, more like 8, the math don't math anymore. Our government will be forced to fundamentally restructure itself or die. Yeah, that's just a fact. We won't be able to carry the debt anymore, which means the next couple of Democratic administrations, they're going to be left in a situation of reversing what Trump does, which means they're going to have Republicans screaming, they're raising taxes. Look at them. They hate you. When they're really just undoing the disastrous shit that Trump is doing. And they're doing it on purpose. They're getting their payday in and trying to set up a situation where Democrats have to be the grown-ups in the room again. And this is what happens. And there's no avoiding it. The math doesn't math. We are 10 years out from a collapse if we don't fundamentally change what the United States government is. Skeet Sayre, come on, Paul. The way Bondi behaves, ask serious questions about 2004. Man, stay in the passage if you want to. I'm going to win the future. I love you, brother, and thank you for the support, but I'm not going there. I'm not doing it. I'm talking about this. This is really happening. In 8 to 10 years, our government fundamentally has to change. We can no longer spend on defense what we once did. That means that great Southern jobs program is gone. We're not going to be able to, that's what all these Southern boys, when they grow up, they think, well, do I want to go to college or get a job or go in the military? And more often than not, when they look at trying to get a job, they end up going in the military because they're too stupid for college. A lot of them. So they do the best they can to cram for the ASVAB and they end up in the military. That's going away. That's going away. The math don't math. You are strapped to this track, and there is a diesel locomotive of debt bearing down on you. The question is, who do you want making the decisions between here and there? We don't have time for this. We don't have time for this Trump bullshit. We must have a Democratic Congress that is looking at a future that says, okay, if we're going to have to fundamentally transform the federal government, we better make it one that gives a shit about the people. We better make its focus things like Medicare for all. We better change the tax structure so that we stop hosing middle-class Americans as much as we possibly can. Parker Joyce, yes, Trump is a mirror image of Reagan brand Republican, but it's a Nixon repug with Bush Repug's brand. In other words, the Repug's party is crappy. Amen. It is. It is. You do not want these people in charge. making the changes that are coming at us. Skeet Sayre, when the Dems get power back, the first thing they should do is make federal trials public. I hear you. That would be great. More information, the better. Sissibian M3B, thank you for supporting the show. I'm truly grateful. Are you following me here? There is an inevitable end to the way our government functions coming at us. It will happen, whether you want it to or not. That means, and we've lost. We're going to have lost by the end of the Trump administration 12 years of preparation, because the Biden administration was dedicated almost entirely to fixing problems created by the first Trump administration. We're going to have lost almost 12 years in preparing for this disaster. That means the next Democratic president is going to have he's going to have his first term and about half of his second term before the really hard decisions have to start being made that are unavoidable. Because if they don't, George Allen, thanks for being here, brother. I appreciate you. If they don't, you're talking hyper inflation. You're talking about just the destruction of the dollar as a world currency as a whole. And you've got people already talking that nonsense. But none of it has to be. We can still have the stability. We just have to change what our country is and what it fundamentally tries to do. If we have a country that focuses on the environment, it focuses on peace, it focuses on just the health and well-being of its people, we can afford this. We can do it. But if we stay on this track where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined on a military and have stupid policies like prop Netanyahu up at all costs, which is what Republicans do, the answer is hyperinflation. It just is. And don't take my word on it. There are Democrats and Republicans out there telling you this is coming and we can't avoid it. And the Trump administration is blowing another hole in the deficit and our debts again. He's doing it again for the sole purpose of giving the ultra wealthy a few more years of living large before the shit hits the fan. And it's gross. It's gross. Down, under, up, over, 59. Thank you for being here. Thanks for supporting the show. And I promise you, I will sit in this chair and I will scream it. I will scream it continuously. U.S. aid is so much cheaper and so much more effective than gunboat diplomacy. Yes, do smart things, but you will not get smart things if Republicans are in office. Republicans do things like look at our drug problem. Okay, what is the drug problem? The problem is, one, violence surrounds it. Why does violence surround it? Cash and territory. Those are the things that drive drug violence. The fight over cash and territory. That's what does it. Well, that is really loud. I can hear it in this room. That is what causes it.
Economic costs and contributes to issues like crime, family problems, and lost productivity.
We can eliminate both those things. We can. With a stroke of a pen, both of those problems can go away. The other problem with drugs, addiction. The other, that's really, pardon me for a second. All right, got it. Sorry about that distraction. That is really fixable. The drug problem is fixable. The other problem is addiction. Deal with addiction as a medical issue. Decriminalize drugs totally, then legalize hemp. I didn't say legalize all drugs. I don't think heroin and LSD and all of that should just be legal to sell over the counter. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for an instant, but decriminalize it. The Republican point of view, prison, man. Them prison companies write me checks. We'll take Americans and we'll ruin their lives and we'll put them in a prison so that they can't get good jobs in the future. But those prisons will write me checks, man. They write me those sweet, sweet checks. That's the difference. Democrats have a policy that has a future, that doesn't destroy people. The Republicans, I'm getting paid. I'm getting paid. ET, one thing that needs to be done as politicians that we put into place needs to do the things that go beyond just the next election cycle. Get involved. Plant the trees under which to shade you will never, ever, ever, ever hear. Plant trees under the shade in which you will never, ever, ever enjoy. You'll never lay under those trees. That's a fact. That's what Democrats need to be doing. But again, not going off in the weeds with the whole drug thing. I'm just telling you, that is just one issue. The military is another issue. It's a jobs program. They build those F-35s in Fort Worth. Big part of it's done in Fort Worth. That's going to have to end, and it's going to be painful. We cannot do that. There's a reason China develops the same great technology, but their actual planes are shit because they don't do what we do. We develop the technology, we put it in a plane, and then we build thousands of the damn things and use them. And then we refine it and we make it work. There's a reason Russian technology is impressive on paper, but then sucks in combat. Remember the S-400 aircraft systems were supposed to be, that's it, game changer. It's over. Nothing can beat these things. They're beating them with cheap Chinese drones. Yeah. It's the way it is, folks. That's going to have to change. We're going to have to, we're not going to be able to be the country of the Abrams X. And then the next generation fighter that they're coming to, the F-47. I can't believe. Tell me that wasn't a big finger to Trump from somebody that works in the defense industry. The new experimental next generation fighter is being called the F-47. But yeah, folks, it is what it is. I'm telling you, it is what it is. These changes are coming. And we're going to have to do things like smart programs like Medicaid for All, which is going to make Republicans say, you're crazy. You're saying, debt is a huge thing. But here you want to spend billions of dollars on free health care for everybody because all you want is free shit. It ain't free. It all costs money. It all costs money. But Medicare for All actually ends up paying for itself because you get a healthy population. And once we stop fighting over the costs of this, I mean, you can have more costs with worse outcomes, or you can have high costs, which it ain't, 320 million people, 340 million people by the time we get it all implemented. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. That's not a small chunk of change. But in the end of it, this pays for itself with a healthy population, and it changes the narrative where we start talking about health outcomes, and what do we do about that instead of how do we pay for health insurance? In that debate about health insurance, and make it about, okay, what's causing it? You know what, folks? Let me tell you something. I am fat and unhealthy. I'm fat and unhealthy. But you know what? I know why I'm fat and unhealthy. I don't get enough exercise. I eat too much and take in too much sugar. The federal government can say, hey, look, we're going to have programs where we say, You get people outside, you get some sunshine on people, you get them touching grass, and we'll make it a good thing for you. That's the difference between countries with healthy health outcomes and unhealthy health outcomes, is that the government says, we're gonna do things. In Japan, in Japan, they don't feed their kids the shit we feed our kids. We don't. They don't. It's mandated by law. There's no processed foods in Japanese. In Japan, nobody can bring your lunch. There are no paid lunches. Everybody eats at the school. And what they eat at the school has to be prepared that day, fresh food, and it cannot be processed food. Net result, Japanese people grow up really loving the taste of fresh food. They hate the taste of processed food, and they're much healthier than we are. But there's a Republican out there that's more than willing to run on the platform that Democrats hate pizza. They want to take your burgers away instead of looking at the real outcomes. It is what it is, folks, and you've got decisions to make. Are we going to make a future with the Democratic Party that's not perfect, but we can fix it? We can make it better. I got news for you. No party's ever going to be perfect. No, not a one. But I tell you what, I'll take the 90% that the Democrats give me and keep working to get that extra 10%. Or you can have the greedy, disgusting losses that are the Republican Party, that do nothing but hurt our society, promote bigotry, promote hatred, do things like, in an economy that desperately needs young people in it, well, let's just deport them all. Well, we know infertility rates are off the scale. We know that Western countries aren't going to be able to birth their way out of our aging populations. We're just not going to. So what's the answer? I don't know. Go to the places where they don't have birth rate problems. Bring those people in. Welcome to America. Let me give you a hug. Here's a flag. That's one way to do it. The other way is to sow hate, sow division, shoot yourselves in the foot, tell old people they have to be scared and just protect themselves, and send them down the road of an aging population. And then you also walk around telling people, well, America's time is limited because, well, we limited it because we were scared to change, because we didn't want Nigerian restaurants. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's time for a trip back to reality. And we do it it's not something that is, ethereal. It's not something that's out there. You do it this way. Elect Afton Bain in Tennessee 7. Get involved with your local Democratic Party so you can influence their points of view and you can support them. Make it happen. Make it happen. It's not, it's not some incorporeal, non-corporeal idea. It's literally showing up and postcarding for somebody that really makes it happen. Well, I love you folks. I know I've ranted on and on and on and on, but this is what I've had for you today. I truly am grateful for all the support. Please hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button. Let's grow this as far as we can and get as much information out as possible. We have a future. We have beautiful cities, beautiful people, and a future. Let's make it the best one that we possibly can. Skeet Sarah, you get the last word. On that, enjoy some Texas cities at night.